Hey, thanks for joining me. My name is Ari Greenbaum. I am one of the co-founders of Conxpros. We are a lead generation company that is focused on the home improvement vertical, working with thousands of contractors across the United States to assist them in connecting with homeowners looking for work to get done. Today, what I want to focus on is one of the primary questions that I receive, our account managers receive, and quite frankly, really anyone that understands that I'm in this business that is on the other side of the coin, that is a contractor, home improvements pro, or home specialist pro, or home services pro. They always want to understand what do you need to do to succeed with leads. Now, I understand where the question is coming from because so many people have not had the success with leads that they envisioned when they first enrolled with the lead company. So what I wanted to share with you today is a proven formula for success with leads, whether that's with our company or for that matter, any company out there. Because at the end of the day, a lead is a lead. If it is coming from a web-driven lead, there's a certain approach to being successful with them. So the information I'm going to share with you is from my own experience, but also experiences from hundreds of clients that I've worked with, and they've shared their success stories with me and the common denominators that make them successful. So again, let's dive into what those 5 steps are, and there's no better place to start than step 1, where you have to know who you're calling. Just like the old saying goes, you got to know your customer. It's no different here. I mean, obviously they're not your customer until you've been in contact with them, set an appointment, given an estimate, and close the job. But you have to know who you're calling so you can approach them the best possible way for success. So who is it that we're calling? As I mentioned, we're talking about web-driven, because that is where most lead generation companies are generating leads, people that have gone on, done a search, been connected then to contractor or contractors through whatever service that they found on a landing page that they've arrived at. So we need to first understand who the consumer is. And the internet consumer is lazy. It's just a fact of life. It's the modern era that we live in. People are lazy. We want instant gratification. We want to just have one click. Same reason that Amazon has gone to one-click purchase versus the old options with 2 or even 3 clicks, because they understand we want simplicity. Even more so, internet consumers prefer being chased. That's why they're online and shopping versus picking up the phone the old-fashioned way and making the calls themselves. They know they have many options, so why should I have to do the work? Is there a mentality? Let's let other people do the work and chase after me. So that's the first important thing to understand of who we're calling. The second thing to understand is we're talking about people's homes. And outside of people's family, the old saying goes, home is where the heart is. And that's not just about the people in the home, but it's the home itself. That people care about their home. So understanding this fact will also help us to understand the mentality of the people coming in and how to communicate with them effectively. Third is that we need to understand when it comes to human beings in today's world, we live busy lives. There are many responsibilities, whether it's our home, whether it's our family, whether it's our work, and everything else that we create in our lives. We live busy lives. And as a home improvement pro or a home services pro, we have to understand this so we can understand how and when to be able to reach people in order to facilitate the first contact, set an appointment, and of course get out to see the project itself. So this is the first stage, is understanding who you're calling. Once we've understood who we're calling, then we can start getting into the actual process that is going to lead to success. Above and beyond anything else that we're going to discuss today, step 2 to me is the most essential step in the process. I call it speed to lead, meaning you get a lead, you have to pick up the phone and call them. So let's understand why that is. Number 1, before even understanding why, let's understand what immediate means. And I'm sharing this with you because I've been in this business for a long time and worked with contractors for many, many years. And it is so frequent that when I've asked a client, what is your call process? How quickly do you reach out to a lead? They say quickly or they say immediately. But in reality, when you probe a little further and you ask them, well, what does that mean for you? Oh, within 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever the time frame is. Well, immediate, as I put the definition here for you to see, is occurring or done at once. It's instant. It's instantaneous. Meaning as soon as you get a lead, within seconds to a maximum of 2 minutes, you should be already calling that consumer. Now, if you're with a service that does a shared lead, this is even more important because of the fact that there are 3 other people or a different variety of numbers of contractors receiving that lead that you are already competing with for that person's ear. At Conxpros, we focus on exclusive leads, so we take that out of the equation, but it's just as important with an exclusive lead for a reason that we're going to see in a moment. But that's key number 1. Pick up the phone, call the lead. That is what they're expecting. That's what we need to do. Secondly, the longer you wait, the more opportunity for the homeowner to have their needs met elsewhere. As I shared with you already, if it's a shared lead, obviously they've already had 3 other people that are eagerly trying to reach them and solicit their business. If it is an exclusive lead, if they do not hear from you, they're wanting instant gratification. They're the internet consumer. So they are going to go to the next place and find someone that's going to be able to meet their needs and do it quickly. So again, the longer we wait, we are destroying the opportunity to reach them. Third, what better way to demonstrate to a potential client that you care about them, that you're excited, you're eager, you're enthusiastic about working with them and helping them to meet their needs, than to contact them immediately. If you were in the person's shoes receiving the calls and you received the call 30 minutes, 40 minutes later, would you say it's a top priority? Or would you say, they got to me when they could? As opposed to someone calling immediately, hey, it says, I'm serious about earning your business. So again, this is the foundation of the reason for needing to call quickly. We don't want to lose those opportunities, but at the same time, we want to show that consumer that we genuinely care about them and we are excited to help them out with their project as well. Step 3 of this process, and this, reusing the same word, is process. Just like most things in life, if you look at anyone that is successful, they have a process. They typically are following it in a religious or a consistent fashion to make sure that they are able to replicate it. Now, if you have something that is successful, why wouldn't you want to replicate it? So you need to have a process to have success with leads. So I always encourage people, my account managers here, we encourage people that you can't just rely on that first call. You need to incorporate, it is a must, a multi-touch point process. We'll go into detail what these touch points should be and can be in a greater detail in a moment. Be proactive. Many contractors are very old school. They say, hey, I left a message for someone. If they want to reach me or they're interested in my services, they're going to call me back. Absolutely the wrong mentality. That's an old school mentality that worked back in the day. Today's world, as we said, consumers want to be chased. So don't expect or wait for the call back. I promise you, they are finding help elsewhere if you're not the one, I hate using the word, but chasing them down. There is a minimal process for success with leads, like I mentioned. I'm about to lay this out for you. Some may say, hey, that's a lot of work. But at the end of the day, if it relates to profits and relates to added revenue for your company, more clients, and all the benefits that comes with, well, again, going a little bit beyond what you're doing already, likely to pay dividends. Again, this is the minimal process. That does not mean that you cannot do more than this, but again, want to make sure that we're understanding how important having a multi-touch point process is. So I'm laying out for you here a process that is a multi-day, going through a 5-day process. Day 1 is the most important. Like we said already, you have to call immediately. You got to reach out. I wrote it in the slide here to send a text as well. Now, again, sending a text is a valuable thing we'll touch on in additional steps in this process, but understand it is one of the key ways that people communicate in today's world. So not just making the call, but send a text as well. I recommend making a second call 10 to 15 minutes later. This is especially effective when you're working in a shared lead product because, again, there are 3 other people or a different type of number that are calling these folks. So you might not always be the first person, but by calling 10 to 15 minutes later, you have a better likelihood of being someone they will speak to and accept an offer to have you come over for an estimate. Third call, this is done the same day. And as we said, people are busy. We don't know if they're able to answer our call at the moment that we're calling. Just because they submitted information, many people are at work. They cannot answer a call at that moment. So let's call again later the same day, many hours later, or in the late afternoon or evening, attempting to touch base. I always recommend to, hey, hit them on all fronts and use an email. Send an email, have a templated thing, something that you send out later in the day, letting them know, hey, received your request. I'm excited to work with you. Wanted to get in touch with you so I can understand your needs and set up a time to give you an estimate. Maybe provide some extra marketing material about your company in that email, but again, a templated thing, nothing too fancy, letting them know you are eager to reach out to them. So you've approached them in all three methods of communication: call, text, and email. That's day one. If you still have not reached them or you have not heard back from them, then on to day two, making one call and a follow-up text. Day three, another call and a follow-up email. My recommendation is to vary the times that you're calling. So for example, if on day two you're calling sometime mid-morning, then on the third day perhaps you want to call mid-afternoon to late afternoon. Increase your likelihood of hitting someone at the right time when they can talk. I recommend not doing anything on day four, although a lot of my clients will say they will have touch points for every single day. But come the fifth day, that's where a single call as what I'll call a final call in this process, one follow-up text and one follow-up email. And in this, keeping it simple, been trying to reach you, please let me know. I'd love to help you with your project. Again, doesn't mean your process has to end there. Many of my clients, they will put people into more of a drip file and still try to touch base with people depending on the kind of service they offer. Obviously, someone that is a plumber or an electrician or pest control, typically those jobs are no longer going to be available when you're talking this many days out. But for someone like a roofer, someone that is doing window replacements, etc., remodeling, these are folks that are not making a decision in a single day. So you will find success with continuing to reach people. I've had many of my clients report back to me that 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they finally reached someone only having made one additional text, email, or call on each of the following weeks. So again, you could extend this process, but at minimum, this is what you must be doing to be aggressive, but not overly aggressive enough that you're going to be able to reach people more often than not. The next step, and I mentioned we get back to this, is involving texting. As I titled this, texting is the tool that gets the job done. This is a webinar that is dedicated to home improvement pros, home services pros, so you guys already understand the value of tools that you use to do the jobs that you do. Lead generation, it's no different. To maximize your experience with leads, you need to use the proper tools. In today's world, texting is one of the most powerful tools. I am about to share with you some statistics that were eye-popping for me when I first saw them, and have encouraged and motivated for us to, with our clients, not just encourage, but almost push them to incorporate texting into their process if it was not something they were doing already. So I'm going to share some of these statistics with you. 76% of consumers do not like talking to businesses on the phone. That's mind-boggling, but again, it's today's consumer. Why? Because on the phone, in a phone conversation, they can feel like they're being sold. Through a text, it's a little more challenging to be sold, and they feel safer. 84% of consumers will not answer a call if it's from an unknown caller, meaning if your name is not already in their contact list, they won't answer it. They'll wait for you to leave a message and then decide if they want to call back. 67% of consumers prefer to talk with the business by text as opposed to over the phone. That was shocking to me. On a personal level, I like talking to people and having conversation, but I am not necessarily the norm. I am not the modern consumer. And most people, as these statistics point out to you, prefer text as a means of communication. It's a safer means and also a more effective means for them because people can text no matter where they are. Even though most employers wouldn't like it if someone is texting while they're working, at the end of the day, it's a little bit easier to do than it is to pick up a phone to make a call or answer a call that you're receiving. So I mentioned this already to help you understand that texting is a tool that gets the job done. As I said, it's more difficult to get sold by text, so it allows people to ease their minds doing a text versus a phone call and getting into a conversation. Secondly, you can schedule appointments with homeowners without ever speaking to them. If you have already, and if not, it's simple to incorporate a scheduling app or a scheduling link that is on your website. And if you don't have a website, you can just do it through an app alone. Having the ability through that text to offer this link where a homeowner can schedule an appointment with you is a massive game changer. We've incorporated this with many of our clients, providing they have the link for us to use, because we do text on the client's behalf to the homeowner, and the numbers of appointments that are getting set is skyrocketing, and it's all attributed to this. Why work harder? Work smarter. Be more efficient. You can use third-party text automation softwares. I have written numerous blog posts about this, and I've plugged a couple different companies that I find to be wonderful things. There's one that I mention frequently, a company called Contractor Texter. But the premise of this, it takes the work out of your hands. You create the templates, and these are then automated. So as soon as you get a lead delivered to you, that homeowner is getting that text from you, sometimes even before you've even dialed their phone. It will allow for additional text to be sent. So that way you don't have to bother yourself with it. These are cost effective. And again, it will allow you to get in touch with more people. If you don't want to make the investment into a third-party text automation software, understandable. They are not very expensive. But at the end of the day, you can do this manually. It just takes a little bit more work. It's a little more labor intensive. You have to also be prepared. And this is critical. You could do all these other things well. You could get in contact with people. But if you're not prepared for what to do with that lead when you make contact, well, we're not going to succeed. And that's what we're after here. So first is to be prepared. And I'm going to break this down for you into two sections. Be prepared for the initial contact, meaning the phone call, and then being prepared for the in-person, the appointment itself. So for the initial call, we have to understand what the goal is. The goal is not to sell someone. The goal is to schedule a time to visit the home. If you're in the home services business, obviously you're trying to get out there to also do the work, troubleshoot, whatever the applicable task is. But otherwise, we are trying to get to the home. The next goal, show enthusiasm. Demonstrate that you care. Ask qualifying questions and then set the appointment. And that is in the order that I recommend doing things. No one is going to be saying that they're excited to have you come to their home if you're not showing enthusiasm and talking like a dead fish. Demonstrate you care, and you're going to do that by asking some questions that you're interested in understanding what their project is, so that way you can make sure you can meet their needs the best. And then set the appointment. My recommendation when it comes to setting appointments is to offer up a variety of options, typically 2 to 3 options of times, and see if those work. That's usually successful. Worst case is they'll let you know a better time that works for them outside of the 3 that you've suggested to them. And rule, I would say number 1, that a lot of folks fall into the category of missing on, no matter how much that homeowner is pressing you for a price or a quote over the phone, never give a quote over the phone. Always get out to their home. As a contractor, as a pro, you understand it's almost impossible to give someone an accurate quote over the phone. This goes back to the first thing, which is our goal, is to schedule time to visit the home. A simple statement such as, hey, as much as I would like to give you a price, I'm happy to get out there and give you a free estimate, so that way I can know exactly what it is that's going on and give you an accurate price as opposed to a ballpark. So what's a good time for me to get out there? Would it be today in the afternoon? Would you like me to come out tomorrow in the mid-morning? Or again, give them another opportunity of a time, or the afternoon that day. Again, you want to do everything you can to get to the home for a visit. You can control more when you're in the home. So this is simple. What I highly recommend is creating scripting for this, whether it's for yourself or whether it's something that you have one of your staff, your employees doing that they're reaching out to. If it is a consistent scripted approach, and I'm not talking about reading a script, but having the plan and a process that's going to be followed consistently every single call, you'll have the metrics to improve that with them, and also you'll be more likely to have success versus people trying to wing these calls and hope for success. The next part is, once we're in the home, how to succeed here. And the first thing that I must mention to you is first impressions. They do matter. And not just a first impression, but making, as I put here in parentheses, a professional impression. So there's a lot of things that factor into that first impression. And that goes down to how you present yourself. Are you or the people that are representing your company showing up to these folks' homes, are they wearing a company logoed shirt? Are they looking clean, or are they looking disheveled? Are they coming in looking like a professional, someone that can be trusted and relied upon, and someone that the homeowner will want in their home and to do the work for them? I highly advise making sure that your vehicles are either wrapped or at least logoed, so when you show up, this is not just a fly-by-night company. This is a company that is taking their business serious and their reputation serious. And beyond that, it's a nice thing when your car is parked inside this person's driveway. Again, there's nothing wrong with some free advertisements. The neighbors are all seeing that. Nothing wrong with some branding there that's going to happen as well. You need to rehearse and practice your spiel. It is imperative. If you show up to someone's home and you are not ready for that, you will fail more often than you succeed. So there is nothing wrong with having a process, a spiel as I call it, something that is ready, that you've worked on, you've practiced, and when you get to someone's home, you're going through a process that is like second nature and you are confident and comfortable with. First impressions, rehearsing, practicing your spiel, all important. There's other factors as well. Body language. What are we making eye contact? Are we shaking someone's hand? Are we doing that in a way that is telling someone that we are confident? Is it in a way that we are a professional? All of these things matter. Well, make sure that you are aware of these things and you are ready, putting this into practice as you arrive at someone's home. The second thing to understand is you need to make the meeting about the homeowner. The goal is to understand their needs. If you're coming in with a spiel that's completely just focused on what your service or what your product is and what you're going to do for them, you are more often than not going to lose out on the job. But if you make it about them, understanding their needs, understanding their expectations for the project, understanding their budget, so that way when you make recommendations for solutions, you can make sure that they are meeting those needs, expectations, and fitting within a budget or very slightly above. That will put you in the driver's seat. And third, last but not least, is an in-home meeting. You always want to provide a detailed estimate. I've been on the other side of the coin. I've been in the business as a home improvement pro, and I can't tell you the benefit and the receptiveness from a homeowner when you provide them a detailed estimate. And I am talking in today's world, it's not hard to do. There are so many softwares that'll do this for you. You know, the old days of just writing it on out on a carbon copy paper and handing it to them, they've long gone. There is no excuse not to be able to provide a professional estimate, detailed estimate, because again, when people understand what they're buying, understand what they're paying for, they're more likely to do so. And as I put here for you in all caps, always ask for the order. I've been doing sales coaching for a long time in my life. I've worked with a lot of folks, and whether on the contractor side or here on this side of the business. I can't tell you how often salespeople call themselves salespeople, but they don't ask for the business. You have to close in order to close the deal. So don't be afraid to, but make sure that we've done everything else that we talked about first. That we've made it about the homeowner, understanding their needs. We've given a masterful presentation that is rehearsed, practiced, so therefore it comes off smooth, confident, knowledgeable, letting them know you're an expert. And then when you've successfully done that, that's when it's the time to ask for the order. So just to review, know who you're calling, make sure you're calling your leads immediately, the speed to lead. Have a process, multi-touch point process, that's going to be the path to success. Incorporate texting. If you're not doing already, it is a tool that gets the job done. And number 5, be prepared. We want to see our contractors successful, whether they're working with us or whether they're working with any lead generation company. At the end of the day, we love hearing about people's success and we love being a part of helping that success become a reality. I would love the opportunity to work with you, whether that's talking to myself, talking to one of our reps. Feel free to give us a call. You can reach us directly at 800-874-9133. Or you could schedule a call directly here through the link here on our website, or of course can always contact us through a form, and we'll be happy to reach out to you to answer any questions and guide you through the process and answer what we can do for your business. I do appreciate your time, appreciate you tuning in, and I hope that these are things you take to heart, you put into practice, and make sure that you're leading yourself to success. I've seen it so many times before. Love to see it for you as well.